construct a patchwork quilt or to patch a spot that has worn out or several spots is fairly simple. All you're going to do is create an applique that fits into that spot. And for instance, in this case, it's sort of a whitish color, so if you can match as closely as you can to what you have, or close enough. Cut yourself a piece that has at least 1/4 inch or more extra. And where you start is just to fold one side of that down. I mean, most patchwork has straight edges, so it's not a big deal. And you'll match it up to one of the seams. I've got this folded now in layers because I'm pretty good at just catching the top layer, but what you want to do is just pin that through the top layer of cloth. There's a little batting there, so usually that'll keep you from going to the back. If you're not comfortable with that, then stretch this over just a flat table or surface. And then you will do the same thing on the bottom or another side. And then you'll flip your ends in and do the same thing. And all you want to do is fit into the existing pattern. Then once you've done that, you might want to take a couple of, a couple of invisible bastes around the edge, remove your pins, and then your last step would be to overcast very tiny stitches all around the edge. So you'll basically reconstruct the patch. So if this one was worn out, you could use red, and this one you could use a kind of orange, and that way you can retain the pattern. But really, this class is about boro, and boro is patching. And so, in a more relaxed manner, what might have happened is they had a piece of fabric that's all they had, and they just placed it over the hole and stitched back and forth, and probably in both directions in some cases, just to cover up the hole and let it fray how it would. Now I've got another one here that I just want to show you. This happens to be the quilt I made when I got married about 10 years ago. And you can see I've got large blocks here that have worn away. So let's look at this from more of a boro approach, and the first thing I would say is, gee, we've just woven a whole bunch of little pieces, so why can't we just fit one in there? I'm just going to cut this down a little bit. These patches are perfect for patching quilts, or anything else for that matter, because each one of them has 2 layers of fabric. And when you put the patch on, it's going to take it twice as long to wear off. So your first choice is just to get one of those patches, place it, pin it, invisible baste it, keep it in place, and then just quilt it. Now if you want to turn the edges under or back or however, it's really the same basic process as I showed before where you draw your design, because your quilt, your patchwork quilt, gives you a framework to work within. So just look at the lines as you're drawing and use that same patching method to fill in the spaces. And if you really want to take it further, how about redesigning it in the process? And I know I'm being very bold here, but how about you just draw a new set of designs to fill in? In this way, you can actually be involved in some kind of design mending and go back in and find some pieces to use to fill in those spaces, and use the same process. You can either turn the edges under and do it like a turned applique, or you can fit them in collage style like we did before. So I would say that, it's really the same process, and you've got a built-in grid, design grid to work with.